The President's Diary is brought to you by the Media and Communications Unit of the Office of the President. Get your reviews and updates on the President's engagements, policy and priority programs. Subscribe to the State House newsletter, like and follow the State House of the Gambia on Facebook at Presidency Gambia, and follow the Twitter handle at Presidency_GMB. If you are a fan of YouTube, subscribe to the State House of the Gambia YouTube channel and get your updates at your convenience. Get more on the OP website www.op.gov.gm. Get informed, get enlightened, get factual information. The Media and Communications Unit, Office of the President, is your credible source on the presidency.
Have you been wondering about the daily work routine of the president?
I think every day when you wake up, go to the office and see whether the departments are responding to or taking part or doing their responsibility.
For someone who starts his day as early as 7:45 in the morning, is probably the busiest man in the country. In order to bring the presidency closer to the people, the Office of the President, in collaboration with GRTS, presents the President's Diary, a monthly TV program that highlights the President's official engagements in pursuit of the National Development Plan. Hello viewers, and welcome to this episode of the President's Diary. Like I always said, this program is specifically dedicated to the Presidency, bringing you engagements and activities of the President in and outside of the Gambia, all in his efforts towards consolidating the gains of our democratic process, as well as other governance processes ongoing at the moment. So this episode will also look at the President's meeting with the Secretary General of the OIC, as well as his outing in the city of Banjul to ensure that the city is clean. So I am your presenter Zainab Fall, and thank you for joining us. Earlier in June, President Barrow joined 12 other sub-regional counterparts for the ECOWAS Summit in the Ghanaian capital Accra. Yamari Bojang has the rest of that story.
Early in June, President Barrow was among 12 of his sub-regional counterparts for an ECOWAS extraordinary summit in the Ghanaian capital Accra. The summit was focused mainly on reviewing the political developments in the republics of Mali, Guinea, Guinea-Bissau, and Burkina Faso following the 25th March 2022 extraordinary meeting. The final communique, amongst other things, stated that ECOWAS leaders agreed to deploy the support mission for the stabilization in Guinea-Bissau and on the financial situation of the missions. The authority expressed grave concern about the deteriorating humanitarian situation in Burkina Faso. It called on the international community to strengthen its humanitarian support to the country. At the same time, it upheld the suspension of Burkina Faso from all ECOWAS institutions until constitutional order is restored. On the situation in Guinea, the authority urged the government to establish an appropriate framework for the dialogue with political and civil society stakeholders to ease the socio-political tension and ensure a peaceful transition. While recognizing the efforts to ensure a quick return to democratic order in Mali, the authority still upheld the sanctions imposed on 9 January 2022. It will continue the dialogue to reach an agreement to ensure a gradual lifting of the sanctions as benchmarks of the transition are met, and calls on partners to increase their humanitarian support to Mali.
The President's engagement in June witnessed a flurry of diplomatic engagements, with several diplomats presenting their letters of credence to the head of state at the State House in Banjul. And on June 2nd, President Barrow honored the former Chinese ambassador to the Gambia, His Excellency Ma Jian-chung, for his exemplary service to the Gambia. President Barrow conferred the Grand Officer of the Order of the Republic of the Gambia on the outgoing ambassador for his role in strengthening the relationship between the Gambia and China. President Barrow's engagement in the diplomatic front continued with the acceptance of the letters of credence of 14 ambassadors assigned to the Gambia. The President, in receiving the letters, implored the incoming ambassadors to help build stronger ties between the Gambia and their respective countries.
We want to be friendly to all countries around the world. So because of that, that's why we have a lot of ambassadors who are presenting their credentials. I think this is important and is good for our country. At the bilateral level, we emphasize trade, because if you look at many countries around the world, there is not many activities between us, and there is no trade link between us, and it's possible. And when we talk about trade, you are talking about business. And definitely we believe that it's the business community that can grow the economy. So the trade link will consolidate, cement the relationship, and both countries can benefit. That's what we call a win-win situation. The world is now a global village. If it is a global village, I think there must be link between this country as far as security is concerned. There must be a security partnership as far as security is concerned. So that's why we are emphasizing on security, so that we can partner, we can give each other information, we can support each other, especially if you look at terrorism is now happening very close to our countries. So the only way to address that is to be connected with other countries as far as security is concerned. It's a big challenge, and we cannot do it alone. We have to be linked to other countries. That's why we are emphasizing security.
Still on diplomacy, President Barrow reaffirmed his government's commitment to the political and transitional justice programs in the Gambia when he met the United States Deputy Assistant Secretary for African Affairs, Mr. Michael Gonzalez, on the 10th June at the State House in Banjul. Mr. Gonzalez shared with the media what his meeting with the President was about.
We had a wonderful conversation with His Excellency the President. Washington has focused a lot of attention on the Gambia for all of the right reasons of late. I commended the President for the free and fair conduct of elections, not only for the presidency, but for the National Assembly. And clearly the Gambian people have spoken and are demanding the reforms that the President has proposed in his platform. And so we had a conversation about his priorities on constitutional reform and legislative reforms to institutionalize and codify the types of reforms so that they're not based on the will of an individual or it can be easily changed, but so the foundations of accountable and responsive governance, democratic governance in the Gambia into the future can be ensured. What I'm seeing here in our embassy and Ambassador Cromer's leadership is an embassy and a relationship that is growing. We see a MCC threshold program that should enter into force by the end of this month. We see USAID coming in with new resources, and both of those agencies looking at multi-year, long-term institutional improvement cooperation with the Gambia. And that's why I wanted to hear directly from His Excellency, what are his priorities? Because you can't do everything, and you need to prioritize in order to really entrench the progress. And so based on that, we will go back to Washington and work with Ambassador Cromer and her team here to see how can the United States best contribute to the success of these institutional reforms.
Still on the President's engagement, earlier in June, President Adam Barrow received the Associate Vice President of the International Fund for Agriculture Development, Mr. Donald Brown, at the State House in Banjul. Mr. Brown was in Banjul to follow up on the progress of the Roots project in the Gambia. He was accompanied to the State House by the Honorable Minister of Agriculture, Dr. Demba Sabali.
We've had a long-standing partnership with the Gambia for many, many years, investing in agriculture, particularly smallholder agriculture, working with the government, providing resources to the government to improve agriculture in the Gambia. And we've been discussing our future plans and the progress on the current projects with the President and with the Honourable Minister. So we have a big project looking at smallholder farmers, trying to work on increasing production of vegetables, of some of the other commodities, but it's not just on the production of them, it's also on the marketing and processing. So we take what is called a value chain approach, starting with production right through till it arrives with the consumer.
The discussions we had with the Honorable Vice President of IFAD is agricultural mechanization, because I think he has said a very important thing, that is food is a national security issue from now. We've all learned from what is happening in Ukraine. So we've discussed about fertilizer. It's been a topic in the country of recent. We don't have enough, and we've talked to them to help us in that aspect. As we speak currently, there is 280,000 bags of fertilizer in the Gambia, which is 14,000 metric tons. The price was 2005. It was a big issue. I think we are all aware. His Excellency the President have reacted to the feelings of the Gambian population and has decreased the price to $2,000. So as of today, any farmer who want to buy fertilizer is strategically distributed in all our regional stores. Fertilizer is available. They can go ahead and start buying.
Agriculture remains a key priority for the Barrow administration. As a result, the government continues to make agriculture a business venture for farmers. Farmers yearn for a successful rainy season and are equally seeking support for subsidized fertilizer. Here is President Barrow on why his government continues to subsidize the price of fertilizer from $3,500 to $2,500 and recently to $2,000.
We want to support the farmers because without fertilizer, their production will be very, very low. And we are talking about addressing poverty, and creating jobs, because we want agriculture to be attractive. We want people to use agriculture as a business. So if you want to do that, you have to encourage the people. That's why we are spending a lot of money on subsidies to subsidize the fertilizer. This year, 2022, is very critical, or else I think we would have even subsidized it more than that $2,000. That is our intention and that is our direction. So that's why we said no, it was subsidized to $2,500, but we feel that still we should go further to help the farmers. We sacrifice another $500. It is affecting our budget, but despite all that, agriculture is priority for us, and we want to support agriculture, and we want everybody to involve directly or indirectly in agriculture, especially the business community. If you look at the situation now, cost of living is very, very high. But if we are producing enough, I think that will subsidize the cost of living and food security for that matter. I think that is very important. That's why, as a government, we have to take those kind of decisions. They are very difficult decisions also because of the economic situation, but I think it was it.
President Adama Barrow recently announced his new cabinet, and a new ministry emerged called the Ministry of Communication and Digital Economy. Here is President Barrow on why having such a ministry in the cabinet is crucial for the development of the country.
and we want to advance our IT system in this country. So if we want to advance that, we have to have somebody who will be the driver, and the driver must be a qualified driver. That's why we appointed somebody whose specialty is about IT. So that's why we are giving it a priority, and I think it is very good, and it will move this country forward. And also most of the economies now is all dependent on digitalization. So Gambia cannot be an exception.
As the Gambia prepares to host the 15th OIC Summit in the country, His Excellency President Adam Barrow received the OIC Secretary General, His Excellency Hussein Brahim Taha, at the State House in Banjul, who assured him of the organization's backing in hosting the summit. Secretary General Brahim said the organization's entire members also fully support the Gambia's hosting rights.
Ça va, vous m'entendez bien. Donc, je suis venu rendre une visite à Son Excellence, Monsieur le Président de la République.
I come to pay a visit to His Excellency,
avec toute ma délégation.
With all my delegation in the issue.
Je suis venu donc confirmer le soutien de toute l'organisation à Son Excellence, Monsieur le Président Barrow.
I come to lend my support for the organization to His Excellency the President Barrow.
C'est une évidence, toute l'Afrique, tous les pays de toutes les parties soutiennent la candidature de la Gambie pour préparer ce grand sommet.
It's obvious all the member states are supporting Gambia's candidature to prepare this summit.
Merci beaucoup.
Gambia is preparing to host, so we need to engage with our partners. That's why the Secretary General was here to engage with me and engage with my government, the OIC Secretariat. There will be other follow-ups to assess our level of preparedness, and that's why we are also doing everything possible to make sure that we fulfill the part of our responsibilities. That is, we are doing the roads, we are also improving on energy, water supply, and also we want to build in a 5-star hotel so that it can address the issue of accommodation, because obviously if you are expecting 50-something head of state, you need to accommodate them, and they have to be comfortable. And we just don't want to organize the OIC for the sake of organizing it. We want to organize it so that it will be a legacy. It will do some kind of publicity for Gambia in the positive way. We just don't want to organize it after organizing it and we are criticized. We don't want that. It's a small country, but we believe that it's not your size that matters. It's what you are able to do. So we are doing everything possible, to make sure we succeed in preparing the OIC and to make sure that people are comfortable and the OIC is well organized and it becomes a legacy for this country.
The President's Diary is brought to you by the Media and Communications Unit of the Office of the President. Get your reviews and updates on the President's engagements, policy and priority programs. Subscribe to the State House newsletter, like and follow the State House of the Gambia on Facebook at Presidency Gambia, and follow the Twitter handle at Presidency_GMB. If you are a fan of YouTube, subscribe to the State House of the Gambia YouTube channel and get your updates at your convenience. Get more on the OP website www.op.gov.gm. Get informed, get enlightened, get factual information. The Media and Communications Unit, Office of the President, is your credible source on the presidency.
Have you been wondering about the daily work routine of the president?
I think every day when you wake up, go to the office and see whether the departments are responding to or taking part or doing their responsibility.
For someone who starts his day as early as 7:45 in the morning, is probably the busiest man in the country. In order to bring the presidency closer to the people, the Office of the President, in collaboration with GRTS, presents The President's Diary, a monthly TV program that highlights the President's official engagements in pursuit of the National Development Plan.
Viewers, you are watching the President's Diary, and now let's take a look at a ceremony that was held at the State House in Banjul, where President Barrow honored and decorated deserving officers of the Gambia Armed Forces. Presiding over the promotion ceremony of 12 officers of the Gambia Armed Forces, President Barrow called on the officers to utilize their status in the military to build their capacity and professional standing. The President assured members of the military of his government's commitment and support to improve their condition of service and general welfare.
My government greatly appreciates the services the Gambia Armed Forces GAF continue to render to the nation, and their engagements in community service, different from their core mandate and the daily duties they perform. We commend all of them. Remuneration packages and promotions are mechanisms to appreciate, reward, and motivate people for their performance, conduct, and excellence, among other criteria. This is a principle that governs service to nation. It is not out of place, therefore, that we are here today to decorate officers who deserve national recognition and promotion. We must note and appreciate at this point that the promotion examinations introduced in the Gambia Armed Forces are to encourage healthy competition, establish a merit-based approach to promotions, and maximize efficiency. This is the basis of professionalism, duty performance, efficiency, and productivity, marked by recognition, reward, motivation, and retention. I congratulate the officers on their success and elevation to higher ranks. It is evidence of their level of devotion to service and knowledge of military matters. The new challenge to you, the promoted officers, is to excel further through your individual and collective efforts and service. As members of the armed forces, to reinforce the success and efficiency of the Army. I urge you to remain loyal, guided and motivated by the spirit of patriotism and service to the country. The decorations have been performed at a time when the security sector reform, SSR, is in progress. The objective of the reform is to strengthen the security sector for competence and efficiency, and the process is intended to rebrand it and mark it functional, efficient, and restore the trust and confidence of the people. Already, the reforms have set in motion a solid foundation for effective security sector governance, democratic prudence, and responsible oversight functions. My government is very concerned about the welfare of the armed forces. To improve the conditions of service of our gallant officers and soldiers, we will maintain a close relationship with them and our partners to achieve this successfully. This will complement the review of the 1993 Terms and Conditions of Service for Officers and Soldiers, which Cabinet will review shortly. Along similar lines, we will persistently seek ways of addressing the inherent training and capacity challenges of the Gambia Armed Forces, as well as the issues highlighted in the 2017 Security Reform Assessment Report. I am particularly aware of the challenges of logistics and accommodation confronting the sector and will explore the budgetary options.
President Barrow also received the First Lady of the Republic of Sierra Leone, Her Excellency Madam Fatima Madabio, who was in Banjul to receive an honorary award conferred on her. Madabio engaged President Barrow on issues affecting the Sierra Leonean community in the Gambia, particularly the payment of higher tuition fees in the Gambian educational system.
We are here to pay a courtesy call, and of course he is the President of the Gambia, and when I'm here I am obliged to come and pay a courtesy call to him as the President, and also to bring to him things that the Sierra Leonean community have asked me to present to him and ask for his help in solving some of those issues. And one of those issues that they wanted me to talk about is about Sierra Leonean paying foreign fee here in university. And before now, when Gambians were going to Sierra Leone in Fulbright College, they were paying the same fee as Sierra Leoneans. They never paid as foreigners. So we're hoping that Gambia will do the same for Sierra Leoneans now, and allow them to pay as just as the Gambians are paying, rather than making them pay as foreign students. We're going to wait and hope that the government will look into this issue ASAP for us, because it will mean a lot to Sierra Leoneans. You have nearly 20 to 30,000 Sierra Leoneans living in the Gambia who are living here, even though they're Sierra Leonean, but they see Gambia now as their home. And we will want the government of the Gambia to give them that opportunity, which is education, that will actually give them the chance to serve, whether Gambia or Sierra Leone, but they will be able to serve in nations building. The last time I was here, we came and presented him with a case of Sierra Leonean paying so much for residential permit, and he gave us his word that he will look into the matter, and he did. And today the Sierra Leoneans are extremely pleased that now they don't have to pay that huge amount of money just to live here. Now they're paying what they are able to afford. So every Sierra Leonean now have a residential permit, and they are not being chased around by immigration anymore. So we hope that this one also will be looked into, where Sierra Leoneans will be given the opportunity to empower themselves with the most needed education that they need, since they are all living here and they've lived here for too long.
Viewers, before we wrap up this episode of the President's Diary, let's take a look at an update from the President on issues ranging from electricity and other vital issues of concern to his government and to every Gambian out there. We'll also look at the President's cleaning exercise that he embarked on in the city of Banjul, calling on Gambians and residents of the Gambia to maintain a clean environment. As the saying goes, a clean environment is a healthy one.
The capacity we need as a country, we need about 75 to 80 megawatts. Now we are up to 105 capacity. Now, how to manage the capacity, that is the challenge now. Synchronization is another issue, but also the T&D is also another issue. Because what happened is, technically, sometimes it's very difficult for people to understand. We have only one line, supply line, and now we are having electricity coming from 3 directions. So that is affecting the supply line. We are one way. So now we are managing that. The other side of it is, if you look at the cables also, our cables are about 33, kVA. We need up to 225 kVA. So this is also becoming a problem. When I say this, if I talk about this capacity, it is like when you want to evacuate a heavy load. You are evacuating up to 60 megawatts. It's difficult for 33 to evacuate it. So these are also other factors, So this is what we are trying to manage. That's why you've seen it on and off, but the power is there 24 hours. But the struggle is this. These are the issues. We have solved one part, but we are struggling with another part. But we are fortunate that we have our partners, that is the World Bank, who are supporting us. We are upgrading our lines. You understand? We are doing the T&D. That means we just want people to exercise a little bit of patience. Synchronization. We are trying to reconcile this together. That is the transmission and distribution, and the cable itself. Yes. Environment is very important. We have to make sure our environment is clean. So as a head of state, I think it's part of my responsibility to make sure that our environment is clean, our environment is taken care of. But sometimes it is not the responsibility of government alone. It is the responsibility of every citizen, every Gambian, or people who are living in the Gambia, to make sure we also volunteer, and come out and clean our environment. Because if your environment is not clean, even if you build a mansion and it is not clean, definitely it will not be comfortable, for you to settle in that house comfortably. So Banjul also, the project is a lot of money. A lot of money is involved, and this is taxpayers' money. We are doing the roads, but if we are not cleaning them, you will not even see the worth of what you have spent on it. So that's why we want to call on Gambians to come and join me so that we clean our environment. And it's not Banjul alone. I think other areas like Serekunda, Birkama, we need to clean the environment. And as a government also, we will be innovative enough to make sure that we employ few people who will come out every day to go and clean our environment. That is part of what I want to do. I think Gambia is going to the right direction. There is light at the end of the tunnel. After appointing a new cabinet, definitely we are very hopeful that this cabinet can drive the Gambia definitely a very successful conclusion. I think so. But with that, we need everybody's support. Whether you are opposition or you are pro-government, but we need everybody's support so that we succeed. Because if we succeed as a country, it's all of us. The credit is for all of us. It's not only President Barrow. That is the advice to the Gambian people. And we thank everybody, especially the people who came out to join us during the cleaning day in Banjul. So we will still encourage other people, and we will work with the two ministers to suggest a day monthly, to clean the environment. But it will be voluntary. It will not be like the way it used to be. It will be voluntary. Thank you.
All right, viewers, from that insightful update from the president, this is where we will draw the curtain on this episode of the President's Diary. And remember, this is a program that is brought to you by the Media and Communications Unit to bridge the communication gap between the presidency and the public. In this program, we endeavor to bring you activities of the president in the Gambia and abroad. So from me, your host Zainab Fall, and the entire production team at the Media and Communications Unit of the Presidency, we are saying a big thank you for the pleasure of your company. Bye for now. See you for another monthly episode of this program.